Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Am I Doing This Wrong? It's me, Morgan, here with Ryann. Same gals, new topic, new week. How are you doing, Ryann?
Hey, Morgan. I'm doing good. I am doing very good. Had a full week. I keep accidentally using this lip plumper, so I'm feeling tingly and ready to get into some conversation of wear this shit off.
Right. Yeah. Get it gone as soon as possible.
Yeah. Well, they accidentally sent it to me in my Sephora package. I did not order it. Like, I would not pay for a lip plumper circa 2022. What is this, 2007? You know? I just remember like the Victoria's Secret lip plumpers, you know?
Yeah. Lip injection.
Yeah, they were huge, but your lips weren't. They were just tingly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'm
feeling good. I'm feeling tingly. I'm feeling ready to party, you know?
Ready to party. That's what we want. This is a, fun show. We're here to have fun.
Yeah.
Everyone grab your lip plumper and settle in.
Yeah. Yeah, your lip plumper and your Von Dutch hat. Let's really get into it.
Yeah. Grab your Ed Hardy bag and it's going to be a real cute look. Oh my gosh.
But anywho, how are you doing?
I'm good. It's a long week. We're recording on a Friday, so it's a nice little way to end the week. Little party. I don't know. You said party. Now I want to say party. I didn't have anything good to add there.
I mean, we can keep that going. Party.
We're just like bobbing our heads back and forth. You guys, if you aren't watching the visual conversation, we're just doing a lot of head bobbing.
Yeah.
So that's fun. I do have a little update though, to go back to our contraception episode.
Love that. Love a good throwback. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was talking to my sister and she was telling me that because we had in that episode talked about, I think it was sheepskin condoms.
Yes. Lanolin.
Yes. So she was saying that back in the day, it might still be called this, I'm not sure, but it's called a French letter.
The condom?
The condom. Yeah. The sheepskin condom. It was called a French letter. And basically it was kind of like you wrapped the penis like you would sausage, like it kind of ties at the top. So there you go, guys. I hope you have a really nice visual right now.
Right. That seems like a dangerous game, like tying something at the tip of the penis. Like,
right. Did you ever like wrap string around your finger when you were little? And you would like wait and see how long it and like it would cut off the circulation.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, weird analogy, man. That's
I know. Could be bad.
It could be bad, but that's really interesting. Also, why anything sexual is like tied to the French, French kiss. Like,
I mean, they were
French fries, very sexual,
Very yes, indeed. French fries.
Yeah.
So there you go, Ash. There's your shout out. There's the little tidbit she provided. So there we go. French letter.
Shout out to our OG listeners that really just, can do those callbacks. I love it. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it. Anything else to add or should we move on?
Morgan, that's a spiral. Like, anything else to add? Yeah, sure. Let me think about everything that I know about sheepskin, which is 0. So yes, moving on.
Okay, so this week we are talking about pyramid schemes.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
/ cults. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. Yeah.
But basically, we will get into cults later.
Ooh, yeah. So fun.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is a pyramid scheme? So this article literally called it a sketchy and unsustainable business model. So it's where a few top level members recruit newer members. The new recruits have to pay upfront costs up the chain to those who enrolled them. Mm-hmm. As new members start recruiting others, it all funnels up to the top, which is why it's called a pyramid scheme.
Yes. And hold on, just before we really dive deep.
Yeah.
Because we will dive deep. With our disclaimer, as you all know, we are not experts, doctors, anything of the sort. We are just two gals, shooting the shit. However, this is a touchy subject. A lot of people have a lot of strong feelings, positive and negative. And I guess you could say that about any of our topics. But I do just want to make it clear that, hey, everyone's got to do what they have to do to make a buck. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. I see the hustle for what it is. But we are just going to talk about this because it's a big deal. It's a big deal. And I don't think it's talked about enough. I think that it's only talked about when you get like that "hey girl" message in your inbox. So
yes.
So we'll get into that, but I just want to, kick it off by saying, like, again, I get the hustle. Respect to those who want to make an extra buck. Like, we are literally doing this podcast so that we can eventually turn this into an empire. Like, we get it. You know what I mean? So
absolutely. Yeah, that's true. And emphasis on the disclaimer. We are not experts. I hope, however many episodes we have out now, you guys are very aware that we are not experts, not doctors, just friends trying to learn a little bit about the world and share it with you. So please make sure that is very clear.
Yes. So continue.
So pyramid schemes rely heavily on recruitment. They don't always involve actual products and sales, and we'll get to that in a little bit, what the difference is, or products and services. It's mostly based on recruitment and new member fees. So that is really the outline of a pyramid scheme. Okay.
Yep. Or a multi-level marketing, as they call it now.
No. They're different. They're different. Oh. We'll get into it.
Oh, I love it. You're getting it wrong. Yes. Okay, go.
So I learned a lot for this episode. So I was like, oh, okay,
Awesome. Yeah.
So hopefully I can explain it in some kind of way that makes sense to everyone listening. Nice. So I wanted to talk a little bit about pyramid schemes versus Ponzi schemes.
Okay.
Yes, which I have heard Ponzi scheme, but I did not know what that meant in relation to a pyramid scheme.
Right.
So they are similar. They're based around the same concept. Unsuspecting individuals get fooled by investors who promise extraordinary returns in exchange for their money. So in contrast to a regular investment, these schemes can offer consistent quote unquote profits only as long as the number of investors continues to increase. So again, you just have to have more and more either recruits coming in for your pyramid scheme or investors coming in for the Ponzi scheme, right? So you are paying back older investors with the money from newer investors. So, sorry. No, okay, so the basic difference is in the type of product that schemers offer their clients and structure of these two ploys. Okay. And both can be devastating. Obviously, we've seen Ponzi scheme just sounds really bad. Pyramid scheme also, but I don't know any pyramid. I don't know. We'll get into what is still sustaining and what is not. And we will use allegedly a lot probably because we don't want to get sued or anything. So. Yeah. So for an example of a Ponzi scheme, the most famous in recent history was the single largest fraud of investors in the United States, orchestrated by Bernie Madoff. Yeah, you knew that one? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
He really made off and then he went to jail. So
yes. So so he defrauded investors through Bernard L. Madoff Investment Securities LLC. Okay. Which is just so many words,
Exactly.
It's just so much. It sounds fancy.
Right. No, exactly. And I think before the general public was more privy to what really goes on in investment firms, what that really means, which it's literally just ways for rich people to hold their money in many different companies with many different fancy and vague names so that, they can get out of taxes, right? Because if their money is placed in different fields, or I'm sorry, if their money is placed in different companies and things like that, it's less taxes, right? Because you only get taxed on the amount of income and revenue that's coming from that specific business. So and again, right, like you can also put your money in like different investment firms that, if you've heard of, like in the Cayman Islands, or in these like random little cities where there are documentaries that they've went to these cities and seen these quote unquote businesses, which are just storefronts, right?
Yeah.
And they're just like basically have a face of a business so that they can basically launder money through them. So it's the epitome of white collar crime, right? The epitome of really rich people getting away with all these types of things, right? Most of the people that were working with Bernie, most of the people that were working with Madoff at the time did not end up doing any jail time. Some did, but they didn't end up. They paid some sort of fine because, like I said, it's hard to pinpoint because their money is always moving into different spaces, right? It also came with like the rise of corporations and making, the people who owned these corporations were no longer liable for the corporation because the corporation took on an entity of its own. So you could only sue that corporation for the amount of money that it was worth and valued at the exact time of suing it, versus actually being able to sue the owner or founder of, said organization, company, etc. So it does become very convoluted, but it was a lot harder to track than it is now, because now there's a paper trail of everything, right? Like it's very easy to follow where this money goes. It doesn't mean they're not doing it, because they definitely are, which we'll get into, but I just wanted to add that because this fascinates me. Like this whole world just fascinates me. Like,
I know, and the consequences are not that bad. A lot of people like for white collar crime. I mean, and I'm not saying violent crime should, get a break here. I'm just saying that it's pretty crazy. Like 2 years for millions of dollars stolen from people.
Yeah. Lives
or
ruined.
just pay a fee.
Or just pay a fee.
You made $2 billion. You have to pay back what? 2 million?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. That's
right.
Nothing. No sweat off my back.
Exactly.
There you go.
It's not even pennies. It's less than pennies. It's not even comparable. So yeah, I'll let you continue. I'm sure we'll get into a lot of it, but this is such an interesting topic. Yeah, continue.
So just to wrap up what old Bernie did here, he he built a large network of investors, pulling from almost 5,000 clients. And so he actually never invested the money. And once the financial crisis of 2008 took hold, he could no longer sustain the fraud. So his investors lost a total of $65 billion. Like, what?
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Fuck. That's so much money. Yeah, the difference between $1 million and $1 billion is, like, again, not even comparable. Most people can't even comprehend that, because 99% of the world will never even understand how much that is, because we will never get anywhere close to it. And so just to think about, the amount of money that is versus the amount of money that, like the everyday person averages in their entire life. Right. Like my entire net worth for my entire life would never even come close to one of his investors. Like that's insanity. And again, I am a socialist at heart. I'm a socialist out of heart, whatever. In all the ways that you can think of it, I am a socialist. This shouldn't even be legal, because most of this is legal, because they are able to get through with all these different loopholes, right? They have all these lawyers working round the clock to make sure that they are never caught or clocked for what they're doing. So,
right, exactly. Yeah, it wasn't until the financial crisis that this actually happened. He got up to $65 billion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
It's wild. It did spark something called Ponzi mania. And so they kind of went on a witch hunt for Ponzi schemes.
Gotcha.
And if anyone was wondering, as I was, Ponzi schemes are named after Charles Ponzi. So in the 1920s, Ponzi promised investors 50% of return within a few months for what he claimed was an investment in international mail coupons. So after he was busted, now these similar schemes are recognized as Ponzi schemes.
Gotcha. Interesting. Just like smooth talking dudes in suits that were just like, yep, give me money. I promise I'll flip it. It's like, flip what? What does that mean?
Right.
No.
It's all vague. And that's a point we'll
Mhm.
bring up.
Yes.
It's all so vague.
Yes. Yes.
So one of the key differences between pyramid schemes and Ponzi schemes is that pyramid schemes are harder to prove.
Mm.
So they are also better protected by legal teams, like Ryann was saying, behind corporations that are much more powerful at protecting an individual. So kind of how we were talking about the corporation takes on a life of its own versus one person being recognized as like the quote unquote culprit.
Right.
So one of the largest accused pyramid schemes was the nutritional company Herbalife. Remember them?
Yeah.
Remember Herbalife? Yeah.
I do. It's still around. I don't know if I think they were kind of like, and I'm sure you'll probably elaborate, but I think they were like bought out and stuff. Like it's not the same thing that it was, but I do know people who sell.
I used to work with someone who was like, every time we'd take a break, she'd be like, oh, do you like, it's so amazing. And I'm like, I just want to like sit here for 10 minutes and like look on Instagram. Like, please don't.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want all the herbs to give me all the energy. I'm okay with being a little bit low energy right now.
Right.
And you are sucking all the energy out of the room.
Right.
So yes. If you left, I'd be fine.
Yeah. So maybe that was her sales.
Oh, for
model.
sure. Oh, for sure.
So yes, to your point. So even though they were labeled as an illegal pyramid scheme and paid out more than 200 million in damages, the products still sell and the stock prices look healthy.
Wow.
According to this article. And, as you guys know, we always put all of our research in the show notes. So if you do want to follow up or look into this more, help yourselves.
Yeah.
Okay, so to come back around to Ryan's point or topic brought up, whatever you want to say, MLMs versus pyramid schemes, which we love to reference an MLM.
Oh, yeah.
So MLMs work like this. The company has a team of distributors whom often describe themselves as associates, consultants, or directors who are responsible for selling products directly to consumers. So this is usually through word of mouth, friends, family, neighbors, and through social media. So this social media has been a huge platform for MLM like structure. And so the biggest difference between a pyramid scheme and an MLM is that MLMs have products to sell.
Yes.
That is the difference. Pyramid schemes don't necessarily have that.
Right.
So yes, that is the difference.
Yes. So I will just give like a quick example. Without saying any names, a pyramid scheme would be something like if you invest your money with, a certain person that you meet, right? I'm in this really cool, they usually use terms like I'm in this really cool organization, I'm in this really cool club, I'm in this really cool cult. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I'd honestly appreciate it more if they just said what the fuck it is. It's a cult. It's okay. Like embrace the cult. Like we talked about, right? If you just let me know I'm in on the cult, I'd totally be down to well, I wouldn't. I'd still call you out for it, but I'd just be more respectful of you. You know what I mean? Like
you'd have a little more respect if they were just straightforward.
Yeah. Exactly. But anyways, they usually use terms. Yeah, I'm in this organization, or I know these really cool, group of people I've gotten in with. And yeah, it's always terms about like flipping it. They really can't say like it's an exchange of money. They use like different terms to be very vague about how they actually gain the money and who it comes from, right? And so a lot of times, like I've seen one not too long ago about the gift of giving, right? And so they actually preyed on people's like religion and their religious background, saying that like this is just a circle of a circle of giving, and we just really want to give back. And so what you will do is you will give a certain amount. Again, they won't say money, they'll say like you'll gift a certain amount, right? And And so obviously we're talking about money, right? And so you'll gift a certain amount. And once you gift a certain amount, that will be tripled within the first 3 months that you gift that. And, so we really want to get more people on the ground floor so that we can all, make more and gift more, right? Receive more. And they kept saying receive more blessings. And so the way that they structured it was obviously a pyramid scheme in my eyes, right?
Yeah.
But this was the way it was said, right? So yeah, no product, nothing being sold to anyone. It was all just in the spirit of giving and blessings. So very religious tactic, which is very manipulative, right? All of this work has to be highly manipulative, and it has to be done by the right type of person. This person doesn't necessarily have to be the most suave, but they just have to be able to like double talk like the back of their hand, right?
Yeah.
They have to always have something else in their pocket to bring out if you do bring up anything like, how much money do I have to actually give? Or, you know what I mean? It's like, no, we don't use words like cash and money. It's all just in the, it's all just in the spirit of blessings, right? So compared to an actual MLM, right? So I used to work at an alleged MLM. I'll put it out there because you really don't know how this is going to come back to you. So I used to work at an alleged MLM. So the way that I found out was I applied on LinkedIn. I applied to this place. And they were a legitimate business for all intents and purposes. They were hiring a recruiter, right? So this recruiter was paid salary, right? So I only applied because it was a salaried position. I have been to like MLM recruiting events. I've been to those. There was one for like insurance that I went to, and I was like, oh, you're preying on newly graduated students. Got it. I have to leave because I need to actually go make money. And so they prey on people like that, right? And so this position was paid. It had, W-2, everything like legit, right? So I went to the interview, got the job, and very quickly I realized that the people that I was recruiting was for this alleged MLM. And so basically, 90 to 95% of the company was making pennies every week, right? Supposed to be working 40 hours a week, but we're making pennies, right? And I only know because I ended up actually applying to make my job titled the office manager, because I was actually putting through all of their pay stubs. I was processing payroll every week. So it was me. So I was recruiting and processing payroll, and, among other things that fell under my job. And so I quickly realized that, recent grads were always easily taken advantage of, right? Because you're very nervous about getting out of school. The system that we live in, people just didn't have the means that they needed to support the student loans and just living like where I worked, right? Which was a city of sorts. Okay. So let's call it a city of sorts. And anyways, point being, the type of people that were at the top were just like, it's like the guy at the bar that thinks he's really cool, right? Like he thinks he's really cool. And so some people believe him and some people will call him out on his bullshit, right? And so it's that type of guy. It's not necessarily like a fraternity bro, but that's a good place to start, like, you know what I mean? Like that's a good place to start because people are gullible and they stroke your ego. They make you feel great. It's all based on a lot of emotion. But eventually you realize, why am I not making any money? Why are you the only person that's benefiting from this? I had a lot of people ask me just straight up, like, is this a real job? Like, I'm very confused on what I'm doing. Like, is this a real job? And again, I worked for that company at the time, so I couldn't just say, run for the hills. Like you're in a fucking MLM. But at the same time, it's like, it's a quote unquote legitimate business. But just to end this story, that their parent company in the UK was banned from conducting business. And so, but the way that they do it is it's all these small businesses under the parent company. And so the parent company was literally banned from the UK. So they came over to America to, prey on all these Americans, and they are still running. I checked from time to time. I did report them. I reported them to the Better Business Bureau. I reported them to the local authorities that were that did cases on these types of situations. But again, it's very hard to pinpoint because of the way that they run business, like you said. So anyways, I just wanted to put that tidbit out there. Morgan knows all about this, of course, but it was just, we'll come back to this when we get to other parts of this episode, but it's very disheartening to see people really try and get to like the nitty gritty of what the company is But in reality, it's just very hard to pinpoint because, again, some people are making a lot of money off of it. They are. And so it's hard to say like, well, they are making money, right? Like there is money to be made, but to get there, you just kind of have to adopt this cult mentality and also be okay with like fucking some people over, because that's just like the name of the game. Not everyone cannot make all the money. It just doesn't work that way. It's not a circle scheme.
True.
Multi-level, but anyway.
Yeah.
So continue.
No, that's really true. Okay, so while MLMs do have recruiting as part of, you know, their business structure, they do have a product to sell. And so one of the examples from this article was talking about LuLaRoe, which the documentary is out. So we are just talking in context of what is out in pop culture. So don't come for us.
Right.
Watch the documentary. Okay.
Yeah, true.
And there were a couple of other examples, but you know, in LuLaRoe, they, you know, these people are buying all these leggings to sell, and it was really popular and picked up fast. And so people buy all this product, and then they have to push all this product. But when the supply is overwhelming, the demand is not as high. Right. And so a lot of these structures, same with pyramid schemes, a majority of people will end up losing money versus really being successful. And that's not to say that there aren't people, like Ryann was saying, somebody's winning in this because it's working for some people. But there's a very specific kind of person I think that works for. Right. Like I was in sales for, you know, a little bit. It was terrible, you know, and I'm not saying I don't have respect for people who are in sales. I think I had a real aversion to it because I had to do it. I was in retail for a while, and there are numbers you have to hit. And, you know, there are people at the top pushing you. And so, you know, you then have to go push the product on someone else. And that felt kind of like lying to me. Yeah. That's why I really didn't like it. Right. But I think on the flip side, if it's something you really believe in and it's something that is helpful and you can present it in a way that doesn't feel manipulative. Yeah. Like I do see the other side of it. Like Ryan and I have had conversations about this where we're like, ew, that's like, you know, so skeezy and so like untruthful. But there are ways to market, and there are ways to do things where you can actually bring something to the table for someone. Right. You know.
That is true. And yeah, that's like, you know, one of the number one rules of sales, right? Like always be closing. You're part of the product. You yourself are part of the product that you are selling, right? If you go to a car dealership, right? Like the person who's selling it to you is selling you a lifestyle, right? And usually they're selling it to you from their own perspective, right? Like either they have the car or, you know, whatever the product is, right? And so a lot of times it's less about the product, right? And about the lifestyle that they're selling you. So a lot of times in these multi-level marketing schemes or marketing companies, whatever you want to call them, they will sell it as the lifestyle. Don't you want to be out of debt? Don't you want to, you know, live a better life? Are you sick of living paycheck to paycheck, right? All these things that they tell you sound really enticing because it is true. Nobody wants to live paycheck to paycheck, right? Nobody wants to worry about the fact that if they have a medical emergency, they won't be able to pay their bills the next month and could be homeless. Those are all very real situations and realities that we mostly, you know, the general public, you know, I'd say 90% of the world does live in those conditions. We are all about, you know, one disaster away from being homeless. I mean, that's just like a literal fact about most people in our country, especially in America. But what that brings you to is that when people sell this lifestyle, it is very hard to disagree with what they are saying, because what they are saying is true. If you make more money, you will have financial stability. The part that's manipulative is that this isn't going, usually, again, not always, but 99% of the people that work within these companies are not going to be at the top. It just can't work that way. Everyone cannot be the top seller, right? And so the things that they prey on, which I remember from these meetings, are you going to be the one to stand out, right? Are you going to be the one to go against the grain? Again, all really solid, valuable, like life lessons, right? Like we are here doing a podcast, talking into the void. We are going against the grain, but at the same time, we are not, you know, having something to push upon you all, right? We're not trying to get other podcasters under us so that they can then get more podcasters and they all have to pay us something, right? Like my mom's like rule of thumb was just like, if you ever go to a job interview and they ask you to pay money, there's probably something wrong here. There's probably just something that's off, because that's just not generally the way works. Like, you know what I mean? Like you do labor for, or you produce a product for a certain X amount of money, right? That's pretty much how it works. Unless it's like barter system or something like that. But that's generally the way it works. And so I remember going, these people coming in for interviews and them being sold a lifestyle, right? Like you sit in on these meetings and it's not focused on the product most of the time at all. Sometimes it is, but most of the time it's focused on the lifestyle. And so I just remember from a meeting where my boss actually asked me to sit in on their meeting. And this boss, my boss at the time was like, yeah, sit in on my meeting. Like, tell me what you think, and I was like, okay, just thinking like, I don't know why I need to sit in on the meeting, but all right. And I'm sitting in this meeting and I just see all of these really young, impressionable, semi-sad people that just really wanted a way out of their life and their circumstances. And then I saw my boss with this, $30,000 watch on, selling this lifestyle, right? And saying that when my boss made their first 100 grand, they went out and spent $30,000 on their diamond glass watch. Well, one thing, that's a bad investment. I would not trust anyone who spends 30% of their first 100 grand on a watch. So like, there's something for you, but also too, like, but that's selling the lifestyle, right? They were able to go and do that, and look at me now. And so it was not focused on even the brand, right? It was just focused on the lifestyle. And so that's just something to think about, is that again, everyone wants a lavish lifestyle, right? And those are the things, but a lot of those people just wanted to be comfortable in life. It wasn't even about actually being in the nicest cars and being in the fanciest restaurants. It was literally just about like being able to pay their bills. And so I think that's something to kind of remember, that people are like, well, maybe I won't be the boss, but maybe I could just be like mid-level, you know what I mean? Like, make a nice living. And to those people I say, like, I get it, like ditto, right? It's just that again, most of the people in those companies, not 50%, but like 99% of those people will not make enough to, maintain a
$30,000 watch.
Exactly. Yeah, I'll never forget that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about some famous pyramid schemes. Let's see if you've heard of any of these. So first one is called Burn Lounge. Ring any bells? I didn't know this one either. So Burn Lounge was an online music store founded in 2004 that relied on the MLM business structure. But by 2006, it was declared a pyramid scheme by the Federal Trade Commission and forced to return $1.9 million to its customers.
Damn.
So
at least they got a return.
That's true. Next one was called Wake Up Now. So this was another MLM based in Provo, Utah. It was founded in 2009, and it sold various products based on health and financial management. So again, very vague things. So after 160 complaints made to the Federal Trade Commission, it found the products that were sold were available cheaper or free elsewhere, and the company was closed in 2015.
Wow.
And the last one I think you probably heard of, Metabolife.
No.
Oh, I had heard of this one. Okay. So Metabolife International was another MLM based out of San Diego. They manufactured dietary supplements. So I think very similar to Herbalife. Despite hundreds of millions of dollars earned from its products, the company eventually went bankrupt in 2005 and was forced to close. So they are no longer around.
Wow. And right. Like that's the thing. Like a lot of these products, like you said, can be found in your everyday grocery store. I know the things like in Herbalife, like again, I mean, it's in the name, it's just herb. Like these are just things that you can like concoct yourself. They're definitely uppriced or upsold. And like there's nothing really wrong with that. Again, right? Like there's nothing actually wrong with that. It's which is why it's kind of enticing. Like, oh yeah, I like to be healthy. I like to do these things. But again, right, that's not the way you make your money. Like you know, if you look at like these like the different levels, right, to move up a level to become like whatever the names of these levels, they're usually like gold level and all these things. To do that, you can see like the ratio, like how much product you sell is not the way you move up. You could sell all this product, but it's how many people you recruit.
Yeah.
Like it's the recruiting that gets you to the next level.
Yep.
And so that was always the thing at when I was working for this company, right? A lot of these people were like, wait a minute, like, but I made my quota. Like, why do I have to have people under me? I don't want people under me. Like, I don't want to go get my friends, right? Because they always tell you friends and family. That's like the first people you go to. But they were like, but I don't want to bug my friends and family. That feels weird. Yeah. And they were always like, don't think of it like that, you know, and that's where the other pitch comes in. Don't think of it like that. Like, this is an opportunity. Like, your friends should be thankful, which, okay, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's just always so, it's just this like redirection. That's it. It's a constant redirection of like, no, you're focusing on the wrong things. Like, you need to focus on like what you could be, you know? So,
no, that's exactly it. So can you think of any pyramid schemes? Anything come to mind?
So are we not talking about MLMs?
I mean, I think we could probably say that MLMs are a type of pyramid scheme.
Yes. But just because it's an MLM does not mean that it's a pyramid scheme.
Right.
Yeah. That's kind of, and again, personal opinion aside, I think that's what it is. Yeah. MLMs could be classified as a type of pyramid scheme, but not all pyramid schemes are MLMs. Are MLMs, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. There was like that Nexium one, Nerium or something like that. That was one. But that was
Nerium.
Allegedly.
Yeah,
allegedly a
it was
Nerium.
Scheme. Nexium was a cult.
Nexium was a cult. Yes. Hey, it's a letter off. Like, what do you expect here?
So this is in my notes. And when I was writing this, the first thought I had was Nexium. And I was like, no, that's the cult. Let me think about this a little bit harder. But it is Nerium. Yes.
Nerium. Yes. So
I
Nerium's
did write that one down.
Yeah. I remember I was living in San Diego and a lady tried to sell it to me and my roommate at the time at our community college campus. And that was super awkward because I was like, I have to see you every week. This is weird. And she kept trying to bring us products. And I was like, I don't need age products. This is weird. Like, also, even if I did, I wouldn't buy them from you. Like, who are you? You know what I mean? And then, and then you have Monet or Monat, however you say it. That's a big one.
Makeup.
It's like skincare, hair care, everything care. They might have makeup. I have no idea. What'd you say?
I said allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah, allegedly a pyramid scheme. But the reason I know more about Monat or Monet, however the fuck you say it, is because I looked into these products. Like, I was like, what is even in these products that people are raving about? And literally nothing novel about them, nothing special about them. They are overpriced. They come in like ridiculously overpriced packaging, like everything that like you don't want out of like your hair care for it to look nice on your shelf and not do anything spectacular is what those products are. Like, they don't, you know, it's like all organic and vegan. Do you know how many organic vegan products there are out there? And again, organic is like so vague. Like, there are organic pesticides, there are organic chemicals, like things that are made in labs could still technically be organic. That means almost nothing now. Like, really, I mean, you know, and again, not to say you shouldn't if you know, prefer organic products. It just means that there's no reason to buy into a quote unquote company for these things, right?
Right.
And so the problem I have with, you know, the people that are under this company, whatever, is that they call themselves business owners. And I just think it's like an affront to actual business owners, right? Like, people that actually have a product and create something, right? Like I have a friend, her sister has a lip gloss company, right? She actually like makes the, you know, like she makes the formula, you know, she researches it, right? The company that I use for my hair products, Myel Organics, right? She was a certified nurse for years. She was a registered nurse for years. And then she wanted to make products for her daughter's hair. And she literally went to the lab and started making these products, right? That's a business owner, right? She created that business from nothing. It didn't exist without her. None of these people that are selling this product are business owners. You didn't create this product. Like, so that to me just seems like a weird farce to create. Like, don't you want to be a business owner? what business? It already exists with or without you. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
That's how it was sold to them, right?
Right, exactly.
Like that was probably part of the pitch that got them to sign up for it.
Yes, exactly. But that's just the part that I don't understand, because I'm like, but an actual business, you would have to like register as an LLC or what, you know, whatever.
Right.
And again, you would have a hand in creating what you're creating. And so to me, that's the biggest thing. And again, make your money the way, if you see fit to do this, great, go do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just don't get mad at me if I don't respond to you in my DMs. Like,
hey girl.
Hey girl. Like, I am not your girl. But like, seriously, it's just like very odd, weird language. Yeah, that's the only other one I can think of. Like I said, my company that I used to work, or the company I used to work for, allegedly was an MLM.
Do you remember people who would sell those knives?
The knives, yeah.
I remember someone right out of high school texted me and was like, hey, I would love to talk to your parents about and I was like, what? No, I did not respond.
That's
like,
hilarious.
This is weird, and right. I'm so sorry you got sucked into something. Like,
I know.
Ugh.
Right. And again, right, like, it doesn't necessarily mean that the product is bad. Sometimes it is. Sometimes the product is shit, you know, but it doesn't necessarily mean that, like, the knives could have been great, right? They probably cut cans and shit. But at the same time, buying all this product in bulk and then having to like have the responsibility of selling it or not selling it is the problem in it, right? Like, I'm an interpreter. I don't have to pay my interpreting company $1,200 and then make it back by going to find jobs, right? Like, that's weird. That's a weird way to go about things.
Right.
Even if you didn't have to recruit, right? Like, it's still kind of weird. But oh, fun fact. So my dad, when he was younger, got roped into like a pyramid scheme. He bought these cameras. Yeah, he like had to buy these cameras and sell them. They were pretty cool cameras. They were pretty novel at the time. But he sold a few cameras to this guy. And this is like a true story. He sold some cameras to this guy where he grew up. And the guy was supposed to meet him to like buy a few more cameras. And he was like, oh, this guy's not hitting me back. Like, what's going on? Because he really wanted to get rid of like these last few cameras he had. Come to find out, he's reading the newspaper one day. The guy was arrested because he was a serial killer. He was killing all over this town and taking pictures of them with the camera that my dad sold him.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. My dad like read the newspaper one day and like saw this dude's picture in the newspaper. Like, he was like, oh my gosh. He was like, I know this person. Like, this is the guy that I've been like waiting on calling me back because I was supposed to sell him some more cameras, but he couldn't.
Oh my gosh. Who was it?
I will have to find out. Maybe we'll include that on the next episode or something. I'll ask my dad.
Yes.
But
okay.
Yeah. For all you true crimers out there, I'm sure that'll be very interesting. I think I'm sure they've probably done a story on this person by now.
I mean, it sounds familiar.
Okay.
Like the photos of sex workers and like, you know, all that. Right. So I'm like, I probably know who you're talking about.
Right.
But if it was in like, what year are we talking?
Like 80s, I believe. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Like late 80s, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, California in the 70s and 80s, it was a rough go. Serial killers abound.
Yeah.
So
abound. Very true.
Abound.
But
yes.
Maybe we'll come back to that. Yeah. It's
we have to now. I mean,
right.
So interesting.
I know.
So wow.
So that's how it could end.
There you go, people.
I know. Wild.
Well, aside from a serial killer purchasing your product, there are some other ways to spot a pyramid scheme.
Okay.
So, we've kind of touched on some of these already, but I did find an article that provided a list of a couple of things to look out for.
Okay.
So number one, it's sold as guaranteed passive income or an easy money opportunity.
Yep.
Pyramid schemes often present their company as opportunities to make more money with little effort on your part. Mm-hmm. Some may even suggest you'll earn passive income without doing any work, selling product, turning a profit, or basically doing anything for the business.
Right.
So that doesn't make a lot of sense.
No.
No. So the next one, there's a promise of unrealistic returns in a short amount of time. So you should be wary of any company that promises you high monetary returns on investments in a short amount of time, like we said. Especially if the returns are tied to recruitment rather than product sales.
Yes.
Like we said, right?
Yeah.
That is like the ultimate pyramid scheme.
Yes.
Bringing more people in, that brings in more money, that gets funneled up to the top.
Right.
So you have to pay high upfront fees. Like Ryann said, wise words from her mom. If you have to pay for something, if you have to pay for a job to get the job, that might be a job you should question.
Yeah.
Is legit.
Right. At least look into, at the very least, right? Like at least look up job ratings, right? Look up something, because I'm telling you, there are telltale signs. Right. Nobody's writing on Whole Foods, I think this is a pyramid. You know what I mean? Like nobody's like, they might rate them down for, you know, their business model, but they're not rating them down because they had to pay to get into the company. You know what I mean? Like there's a difference. There is a difference between legitimate businesses that have a product and sell it and hire people at the lower level or entry level, right? A lot of these positions are marketed as entry level. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, that's why recent college grads are very susceptible, or recent high school grads, right? Or people with less education. Not saying, you know, no shame, wherever you fall. Honestly, our college system is a scam. So, I mean, everything is at this point. But point being, I think the biggest thing that you should kind of like be wary about is just that, like, if you look at the business model and they say the average, this is very important. If they say that the average person makes 500K, right? Okay. If they say that, just keep in mind that the average versus the median are two very different things. If I get 100% on a test and Morgan gets a 0% on a test, the average of that is 50%. That does not mean that we both got anywhere near that. You know what I mean? And so if one person at the top of a company is making millions of dollars and people on the entry level are making $0, because a lot of people make zero or negative, the average of that is still going to be a very high number. So you have to look at the median, because the median is going to actually give you a realistic picture of how much you probably will make coming into that company. So I learned this through my like fascination with pyramid schemes, or, you know, MLMs, whatever, because I was like, how can you actually tell, right? Like what is another telltale sign? And that's one of them. Like, look at the median. How much are people making, you know, within the company? And usually, again, it's like pennies, maybe like not even hundreds of dollars. So something to think about.
Yeah. Big time. Big time. So next one is there's no buyback system. So it's not unusual for MLM companies to require their members to purchase product in order to resell to their consumers. Reputable companies should offer a buyback on the product if you wish to leave the business. Most MLMs don't offer this. So if you are excited to pursue something new, definitely read the fine print and see if that is an option. Yep. Because if it's a true MLM, it's probably not. Yep. And as we've been saying throughout this whole episode, number 5 is the explanation of the opportunity contains abstract language. It's super complex, it's really vague, and it's probably confusing.
Yeah.
And right, like Ryann was saying, when you start to ask questions to try and get a better understanding, you probably will start getting some kind of runaround, right? And they're going to play on your emotions, on your desire, like Ryann was saying, for like a certain lifestyle, right? Or, you know, your religious beliefs or something like that. So definitely proceed with caution. Right. And I do have to say that a lot of these articles did not put a very negative light on MLMs. And there are people who are successful, you know, like someone's got to be doing it right for these companies to still be in business. Oh, for sure. I mean, I follow someone on Instagram. She does keto. So I follow her, like, you know, for workouts and recipes and stuff. but she is very involved in selling and she's actually very successful at it,
Right.
So like, good for her. I mean, she loves it. She's doing it. She believes in it.
Right.
So, I mean, it's definitely an MLM, but like,
right. No, exactly. There's also, I was just trying to think of some more. There's like Beachbody. That's one. There was also an MLM that started like, and I'm pretty sure it's still active and it's like, has to do with like Bitcoin and stuff. I can't think of what they're called, but basically, any like, startup company has to be started with a good baseline of money, right? Like you're not, like it's pretty much, on average, most companies are not going to make profit within their first 2 years, right? And so you have to have a pretty large lump sum of cash or revenue to make sure that business can start, right? And so a lot of these people that are making money either already had a very large amount of money in their bank account, or they were already wealthy to begin with, right? Like that's the thing. If you're already starting with a wealth of money, it's a lot easier for you to be successful at this company because you already fit the lifestyle, right? And so you can already kind of prove like it works, right? Similar to selling things like Beachbody. If you already have a quote unquote beach body, right, what people say is hegemonically beautiful, it's going to be a lot easier to convince people that like this Herbalife or whatever it is works because look at me, I'm selling it, I use it, you know what I mean? Like it's already part of your lifestyle anyway. And so that's the part that I think is kind of hard to like spot, is that I don't think that people are going around like looking like, is that an MLM? Is that an MLM? It's more like, oh, that person has a lifestyle that I aspire to. Let's go do what they're doing. You know what I mean? Let's emulate what they do. And so there's something to be admired about it for sure. Like me and Morgan have talked about that, salesman, that's not an easy job. And it does take a certain type of person, right? To kind of ride the lines of like, semi-manipulative but like also charismatic, right? And like a person that you want to be around. Like it's a fine line to ride, and so respect to people that can be salesmen and do that kind of like with integrity. I think, I don't know, whatever, I don't really care about integrity that much, but you know what I mean. And so I think that that's always the part that gets me, because I just remember like one instance where at the company that I worked for, that was quote unquote an alleged pyramid scheme, right? Or MLM, whatever they called themselves, an MLM. So that's not alleged. They are an MLM. Yes. It was in their pamphlet, everything. One person had quit, right? Somebody had quit, and literally it's a revolving door. People were quitting every week. That's why I was called a recruiter, because I had to recruit every single week. Every week we had interviews every single day. Monday through Thursday, we had interviews. And by Friday, they were offered the job, right? Which is also a telltale sign. Any job that has an interview with you, says they love you so much out of the bunch, calls you back the next day, and then hires you like that quick. Like, I'm just telling you, like, just again, it's pretty easy to spot. But if you're ever hired within like 24 hours, like, just take a second look. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, somebody had quit just like they always did. And, he told me, he was just like, I need to make more money. Like, this isn't going to do it, And I was like, yeah, I get it. Well, my boss asked me about it later. My boss asked me like, what happened to so-and-so? And I just told my boss, like, that person just needed to go actually make like a decent amount of money. Like they needed an hourly paid job. And I remember my boss was like, this is hourly, this is paid, kind of like offhand, while he's wearing this $30,000 watch. And I just look at my boss and I was like, they need a job. Like they need a job that will sustain their bills. And my boss like looked up at me, and I swear to God, my boss's face like cracked. Like they were just like smiling at me, but also not smiling. Like it was the creepiest like moment. Yeah. Chills up your spine. Like, oh, you actually like, not you believe in this, but like, you know what I mean? It was just weird. It was just
weird. But like you saw through him for a second. Like,
exactly.
He knows he's putting on. Like, and that's interesting, because I feel like at a certain level there is like some kind of disconnect with like your emotions and your empathy.
Yeah.
And so that's interesting to know that he had that kind of reaction, because maybe he doesn't truly feel that way. He's just been successful.
Exactly.
And so he knows how to play the game.
Exactly.
But that doesn't mean he doesn't go home at night and like take that mask off and be like, fuck, like,
No, exactly. Right. And the lifestyle is enticing. I mean,
Sure.
one of the things I always think of is like, if you're a person, just a everyday person, maybe grew up middle class, low class, whatever, lower class. I mean, we're all pretty much lower class at this point. But you know what I mean? Like if you grew up with having loans, right? Okay. If you ever had to take out a loan,
Raise your
you're
hand.
who I'm talking to. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Raise your hand. Cancel student loans, please. But anyways, if you are among the majority of people that have had to take out a loan sometime in their life, right? And you've ever heard people say, like, I want to be a millionaire, I want to be a billionaire, right? Just think about, like, why do you think that? Okay. Like, why do you think that you need millions and billions of dollars? Like, what will that get you? Right. Okay. Well, it'll give you financial security, right? It'll get you out of debt. You'll never have to worry about healthcare. You'll never have to worry about any of those everyday woes that most people have, right? So just think about if we lived in a society that actually supported you, right? If we had socialized healthcare, if dental was included in healthcare, if there was a safety net, if you didn't have to take out loans to go to school, if school was free, right? Like just think about where you would be, right? If interest rates weren't allowed, right? If you were just able to pay back exactly what you borrowed. Right. Would you still need to be a millionaire? Like, that's my whole thing. Is like, would you still need to buy into like this fantasy life of like, I want to be like X person because X person has all this money. I'm not saying you wouldn't want a fancy car and you wouldn't want nice things and to travel and all those things. I'm just saying if your basic needs were actually handled, would you actually need millions of dollars to enjoy your life? You know what I mean? Right. Like if 90% of our check didn't have to go to our bills, I would be able to travel and do the things I'd want, right. So that's kind of where it comes from, is like, I think it's just step back and think why. Like, why is it that you need to be millionaire, billionaire, whatever it is you want to be in this world? Why do people look up to people like Elon Musk? He's just a rich kid who had money. That's it. Like, he's not special. He's not smarter than you. He's not like savvier than you. You know what I mean? Like he's just a dude that grew up with money. Like that's it. Steve Jobs, like they just grew up with money and now they have more of it. Like that's the system that we live in. So I just think sometimes it can be really enticing to look at lifestyles like that and be like, oh, I really want millions and millions of dollars. But is that really what you want? Or do you just want like financial security?
Right. Yeah, that's really true.
Yeah. So
that's interesting. Yeah. Okay, everyone, let's all go sit and examine our perspectives. Ryann's dropping some heavy thoughts.
Can't help it.
No, that's a good point, though. That's a really good point. That's a really good perspective. No, for sure. So to wrap it up, I just wanted to finish with this quote that I found from the article. It was talking about between, the lines between pyramid schemes and MLMs can be a blur. Like we said, they kind of can fall into the same category. But the biggest thing to keep an eye on is recruitment. And so this says the moment recruitment becomes a part of the job description is a moment to pause. And so if you're a recruiter, that's a job in itself, right? Like that's something else entirely.
Yes.
But if you are here if you want to sell makeup products, however, you also have to bring in 3 friends who have to bring in 3 friends who have to bring in 3 friends. Take a moment.
Yeah.
Take a sec. Step
pause.
Back. Take a pause. Yeah.
Pause.
Take a beat and maybe think on it.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, Ryann, do you think we could fall for a pyramid scheme?
At this point, no. At this point, no, because I think that's what's actually really tough about having MLMs and pyramid schemes at this day and age, is because it's just so easy to spot. It's easy to Google, Again, if you're already a part of a lifestyle that supports whatever product it is, I get that, because you're like, well, I do this anyway. Oh, I can think of one. It's Lash Boost. Have you heard of that?
Oh, yeah.
Lash Boost is an MLM. Or maybe they are an actual MLM. I don't know. I'll say allegedly just in case. But that's a product that a lot of people do swear by. Like I know people that use that product. And so they're like, it is a good product. I don't necessarily, need people to become recruited from me, but I will use this product and I will make a commission off of it because I'm going to use it anyway, and if I know friends that want to use the product, great, because I know that it works. So I do understand, like, some people I do know, like, personally, and they've said it, like, on their stories and stuff, like, yes, it is an MLM, just to let you know, but like, I actually love this product and I get compliments on it all the time. Cool, dope, like, you're being transparent.
Right. That transparency is really key. Exactly. Like the keto girl that I was talking about. I've purchased ketones from her. Like, I have tried it. I did not subscribe. I don't like have a membership now and like get my, box every month. Right. But I have tried it, and I think there's also a big sense of community with a lot of these companies. They have like those huge like conferences.
Yep.
And I know all industries have conferences. I'm not saying that it's just for MLMs, but like
these are different though.
These are like, I don't know. It's crazy. Like it's just such like a hype up, right? And I think if you are looking for like a community like Beachbody, like same thing. And that's fine. Finding community. I mean, that's what we're trying to do here, right? Like, uh-oh, guys. Welcome to our pyramid scheme.
That's what we're building here. So just,
So just tell 3 of your friends to tell 3 of their friends, right?
No, exactly. Right. Like all of the things that are sold there, I completely understand the pool. I understand the lure. I understand why from the outside it looks wonderful. But as a person that's seen it from the inside, and like, I will just tell you about some of those conversations that they have about the people in those companies. I'm telling you, it's not as pretty as you might think it is. It's really ugly. It's super cutthroat. It's disrespectful. In a lot of ways, it's like super, it preys on like misogyny and racism and, hegemonic beauty, the people at the top of these companies, the only people who have the right to be ugly are old white men. They're the only ones that can be ugly in these companies. No, I'm not kidding. Like, I've seen it for myself. I've been to these conferences. They had to pay for me to go because I was like, I'm not paying shit, but they paid for me to go. And I'm telling you, the only people who have the right to look like shit are old white men, the people at the very, very top. They show up to these conferences. They're old as shit. They come in some nice souped up, fast car with, some trophy wife on their arm. And hey, kudos to you if you're the trophy wife. Like, you're just reaping the benefits. You don't have to do any of this recruiting shit. So like, good on you, what I mean? But at the same time, like, for what price? Like, these people sacrifice like their relationships with their family. A lot of these people, they do prey on people who do not have a community, who do not have people in their lives telling them, hey, I don't think this is a great idea. And the people that do have families oftentimes do not last. I'm not saying you can't have a family. I'm just saying, from my experience, what I've seen happen, I worked there for almost a year. Like, the people who had families and the people who had like strong support systems oftentimes were not the people who got promoted. The people who did get promoted were people who had abandonment issues, who had high drinking dependencies. They would go out after work and like, get completely blasted and then almost like, guilt you into going to work the next day, right? Like, they'd have pictures of you and stuff. Like, there was like a lot. Again, it gets kind of dark and we don't have to go into that now. Maybe we'll do like a special short episode or something on like actual experiences with it, because I'm telling you, like, it
dirty, dark secrets inside an MLM.
Oh yeah.
Ryann expose. Yes.
But yeah.
Okay.
So I get it, but just keep your eye peeled, sleep with one eye open,
Yeah. The MLMs. Yeah. Right behind you. Look out. Okay. Well, that's it, guys. Hopefully, if you want to join a pyramid scheme, it's a pyramid scheme. At least hopefully
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Did you hit something?
I ran into the microphone. So I just really want you guys to hear this part, okay?
Yeah. Emphasis. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us for another episode. This was a fun one. Hopefully, we all learned a little bit. If nothing else, I hope everyone knows what a French letter is now. And
that's our first recruit. Shout out Ashley. You're our first recruit.
Right. Yeah. So tell 3 friends to tell 3 friends. So we just want to say a big thank you guys so much for tuning in for another episode. As always, you can check us out on YouTube for the visual conversation. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And join us on social media on Twitter and Instagram at Wrong the Podcast. Definitely come join the conversation, our community. We won't try and make you sell anything, really. So,
I mean, we may eventually sell merch, but
right. But we won't make you sell it to other people.
Right.
Maybe if you want to buy like a sticker or a pin, we're happy to give you that opportunity.
Right.
So.
Yeah. We're only going to sell in bulk. You have to buy 1,200 stickers.
Right. Yeah.
To become a Patreon member.
Oh my God, that's great. Okay. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.